Hello, everybody, and welcome to What Are You Chasing? I'm one of your hosts, Jennifer Buck, here with Chrystal Hood, and we have a special guest, Allysia. And so I'm going to let Allysia introduce herself, tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll just kind of see where we go.
Hey, I'm Allysia. I am a woman in long-term recovery, and I came to this understanding, I would say, about 3 years ago. Um, I am a teacher and a mentor for the Inside Alliance here in Portland, Oregon. Yeah.
Do you care sorry, Jen, do you care just to a little bit? You don't have to give a big spiel, but just tell people a little bit about what Inside Alliance is?
Me or her?
You work there?
So the Inside Alliance is a small nonprofit in Portland, Oregon. And we teach the Insight to Wellbeing inside of McLaren, which is the youth correctional facility. We teach inside of Coffee Creek, the women's prison, medium, in the medium side, and then medium and minimum. There we go, medium and minimum. And then we teach at the Columbia River Institute, which is the men's medium security out here. And then we have classes in the Recovery High School, which is Harmony High School, and we have classes as well in Tigard High School. And with Tigard, we're partnering up with them to do mentoring for the youth in there so that they can start teaching their peers about the Inside to Wellbeing.
Beautiful. I love that. And that's why I just kind of wanted you to tell a little bit about the program, because it's amazing the places that you take this understanding and how helpful I can only imagine. I don't know for myself, but that it can be to all of those people. Well, obviously, this understanding can be helpful to anybody out there, but it's beautiful. And yeah, I wanted some people to know what Inside Alliance is. So yeah.
And I think it's really beneficial to do it with the youth. I mean, of course, it's great for everybody, right? But the youth is we hear so many times in our adult classes in the prisons and stuff, participants are saying if I would have known this when I was a kid, do you know how much trouble I would have saved myself or how different my life would be? And it's well, you are where you are, and we're all where we are meant to be in the moment, right? However, if our children and the next generation can stay more connected to themselves, because I think that's exactly it. We get conditioned to be disconnected from our true nature at a very young age, right? It's almost like school age. Figure that, right? You get sent into school and it's sit still, don't use your imagination. You've got to, memorize and regurgitate all these things. And so we get disconnected from the beauty that is within us and from our natural state. So to start it at a younger age where kids can realize that they're not broken and they don't need fixing and they can just navigate through the world because that is how they were designed to be able to function and take care of themselves is so cool to be able to do it with the youth.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I know that we've said it before on podcasts that, could you imagine getting this into the schools at a younger age for the children, even if it was just the start of the day, even if it was just a little bit, what a difference that would make. And yeah, I too have said this statement. Oh my gosh, it took 45 years before I found this wonderful, the principles and this wonderful way of life and this true understanding. And yeah, I had that thought before of, man, if I only knew this back then.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And going in prisons, if I would have found this when I was in prison, it would have been a lot easier. I mean, I kind of paved my own way with, okay, I got to change how I think. I got to change. But I was still in a battle, And what I love about this, like you were saying, Allysia, is it's the connecting back with yourself and going back to our natural state, which is okay. It's open and flowing. And I love that you guys are going into schools. You know, I've talked with Chrystal a little bit because I imagine taking this into group homes, and if we could get where foster parents learn this understanding, and then we taught it to the foster kids too, and just everybody can benefit, but there's still certain that can benefit so much more. You know, when you get started super young, being told or learning that you're broken and something's wrong with you, and getting programmed that this is just how it is, you don't have a choice, you know. And then when you get stuck in survival mode, it's a complete disconnect. And to be able to take this and help whoever just reconnect with themselves, it's one of the coolest things to see when somebody kind of gets it.
It really is. Yeah. And I'm
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Absolutely.
No, I'm just gonna say that that's the highlight of like the classes, right? And I do a lot of mentoring too in the recovery field, but teaching the insight to well-being and in our classes, I think that's why I went into direct services, because that is the biggest thing for me, is when you can see somebody's lights back on and it's like, oh, I get it. You know what I mean? Like that is so beautiful to watch. And then like, okay, this is what we are pointing this out. This is why we're trying to help people come back, understanding that they already know, right? We're not teaching anybody anything that they don't know. You already know this. It's just highlighting it so you can see it again for yourself.
Yeah. So you can remember it, because we cover it up.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what I was going to say. You're preaching to the choir here about the social conditioning and the programming that goes on at such a young age. I talk about it pretty often on the podcast because it's most of the time it's innocent, you know, the programming and stuff, but that disconnect, you're right, it happens at a very young age. And so yeah, I love this topic, and I love that. Yeah, I mean, I've said it before, if we could just get it in at a younger age, but to me, it finds you when it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Until there's another way. And hopefully, you know, we'll be those people that make another way for it to get to people sooner, younger, different places. But yeah.
So, Allysia, could I ask you, what was one of the first things you seen? Like, what caught your attention? What was one of the first things that was like, oh, well, shit, maybe this might be true?
I know in the beginning, like I wasn't willing to accept another thing, right? It was like I had been through all these things that tried to teach me to change my thinking, or to teach me to do this, or I didn't need to do that. And right. And so I kind of was just like hesitant in the beginning. Beto, my coworker, a really good friend, plays softball with, telling me like, oh, this understanding. And I was like listening. And then I was kind of like, he's so full of shit. You know what I mean? Like nobody can be that peaceful and have this like, you know, kumbaya relationship with themselves, right? And then I took insight to the well-being for the first time. I'm just trying to think, because there was a few moments, but I think the biggest thing that I've realized, and especially coming to be a teacher and working at the Inside Alliance, is that like I have always been a go-getter and a chaser and a doer and a shaker and a mover, right? And so I'm always constantly trying to prepare myself for the next thing, learn the next saying like, be 2 steps ahead, 3 steps, 4 steps, whatever, and what I'm learning is that less is more. And I don't actually have to be doing all of that. That if I can just sit still and be quiet and allow things to unfold the way they are supposed to, beautiful things happen. And so for somebody who has some control issues, that's hard, right? Like I'm up against myself and I'm up against my thinking when it comes to that. And there's this little card that I got when I was in treatment, and it's a hand, and the hand has a rope wrapped around it, and the hand is like bleeding, and it's like holding on to this rope so tight, right? Blood just dripping down the rope, down the hand. And then the next one is like, just let go. And the hand has nothing on it. It's released and it's not in pain anymore. And so I think that is another thing, is like learning to just let go and let things flow. And then it's not painful. It's not as hard. It's like, it's crazy how simple it is.
Right. And that's where we get the most, I guess, resistance, not just, from people that we're trying to help, but when we first come to the understanding too, because like you said, when your friend was telling you about it, yeah, right.
Right.
Like it's that easy. I remember when I started, and the funny thing is I didn't even know what I was getting into. Like I was just taking a class to be a coach. I didn't know anything about the principles. I didn't know it was part of it. But when he would talk about it, I would be like, yeah, right. That'd be nice. What La La Land are you living in, buddy?
Yeah.
But about 5 weeks into that course, my whole world changed. Everything shifted in that moment. And from then on, I saw it differently. And that was 3.5 years ago. And I'm truly thankful, but it's the whole simplicity of the principles that people are just like, you're so full of it.
So our teacher, the one she was talking about, when I first came into it, he was talking a lot about this person he's seen who was on all these bipolar meds and antipsychotics, and how they stopped taking their meds after a couple. And I was like, yeah, bullshit. I mean, I could stop taking my meds and sell everything and move into a car that isn't even mine and start my cycle all over again. And that made me kind of really standoffish at first, like, but then I heard some stuff, and I had to start testing it. I was in no way ready to get off my meds and take that risk. For over a year of coming to the principles and taking courses and learning about it, and now it's like, well, yeah, it is that easy. It really is just a step away. I've been off my meds, all bipolar meds, since January 1st. That's when I said, all right, I'm done. And I'm more stable now than I ever was. And I struggled, like, at first, because I was so used to the noise, that the quiet was hard. It was uncomfortable. So it's like I had to do little increments at a time and practice being present for like a whole minute. It sounds like nothing, but I was 30 plus years old when I realized that you cannot be present and thinking at the same time. That was like really? And it was, I think one of my hardest parts was getting used to the quiet mind.
Yeah. And see, for me, that wasn't hard. It was really weird because I didn't think I had a busy mind. I really didn't. If anyone would have asked me, I would have said, no, I don't have a busy mind. I don't overthink. I like to, kind of analyze stuff in my head, but no, a busy mind, It wasn't until my mind slowed down that was like, holy shit, I did have a busy mind because I have never lived from this space before, in this space of quiet and calm. And, I hate to say that not a lot going on because, people will take that sometimes the wrong way, but you two know what I mean. Not a lot going on up here. It's pretty quiet most of the time. And so, yeah, sometimes the noise can get uncomfortable, especially when our minds have quieted and then we just get a teeny bit of noise. Then it's like, oh, what the heck is going on? You, right, Jen? You look like you want to say something.
Oh, I just, this last week, I think I got a whole lot better at surrendering to the noise because everything that was going on, it's like, of course there's noise, and there's way less noise than there would have been a year ago. But it was, I can't tell you what even happened, but I can tell you that over this week, it was every time something was handed to me, it was, instead of the tensing and taking it in, I let go. It was a surrender that I've never really done before. It was absolutely amazing, and not get caught up in that noise. And I know I'd been doing really good at dropping below it, trying to think. I couldn't even tell you where the surrender came from, but it just, there was a lot on my plate and just kept stacking up, and I was like, well, I don't have to do it on my own. The more I think about it, it's just gonna make things harder, make things worse. This is not just up to me. And I gave it up. And one after another, we figured each damn thing out. Got some really, really good news today. And that was exciting, just to know that a big scare that we were looking at that's not what it is. So yeah.
That makes me happy to hear that. Really
Yeah.
does. Then I had something to say, but now I just have so much like gratitude and thankfulness for that I don't even know what to say right now. But it happens. So, oh, that's beautiful, Jen.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think what I appreciate too is like what you're saying is, even when there is the noise, we have the space and the awareness to be able to step back and look at it, right? And I'm not completely quiet yet. Some days are better than others, but even when I'm like making a mess and creating these scenarios, because I'm real good at that, right? Like I have this great way of taking a thought and then I've got a whole situation going on that's it's ridiculous, right? It's out of this world. If other people knew what was going on in my mind, they'd be like, really? That's really what's going on right now? Like, how did you get there? Being able to step back and like look down at, it's kind of how I see it, right? And just see like, oh, the Ferris wheel's over here, and then I got the trumpets playing over here, and then I got the marching band is going on over here, and just like looking at it and being like, okay, we're doing that thing again. That's cool, and I can just be okay with the fact that my mind is doing exactly what it's designed to do. It's designed to think, right? And it's gonna think constantly. Yeah. And that's okay. And I can be in that. And I feel like for me, that awareness brings me back into the present. And then I'm okay to be in it, even though it's not completely calm or quiet. I don't know exactly what that's like yet, except for when I'm getting ready to go to bed. And even not that sometimes, because then it's like, oh, let's think about what you did in 7th grade that one day that you had that conversation with so and so, and you probably shouldn't have said that, right? It's like, why? Why is this what the table is like? I've got to be up at 5:30 in the morning. You know what I mean? Just being able to see that and be aware of that is like, that's a beautiful place, right? Because the chaos, like you were saying, the chaos and the noise used to be the norm. That used to be what I was comfortable in. And so to not have that would seem, I don't know if that makes sense, but.
You were breaking up a little bit, so.
Oh.
It does make sense. And
yes,
it's beautiful. The metaphorical step back. I love the step back. I love the pause. I love this space between thoughts. Like, if I could bottle that up and sell it to people, I would, because it is a beautiful space. And what I loved about what you're saying there, and you are obviously already know, because the beauty of everything you said there, where you said you're not quite as quiet as you want to be yet, or all the time, but your awareness of your thinking is the key to that point right there. The fact that you have that awareness, oh, you're just getting closer and closer to quieter and quieter, if that makes any sense to you. Because a lot of people, that's what we start off, we don't have that awareness. We're like, sorry, this is how I do it too. Whatever comes in my head.
Yeah, go ahead.
And my sister used to tell me, you were talking about what was going on in your head before this, before the principles and before slowing down. My sister used to tell me all the time, I would make stuff up in my head, the what if game, the what if. But she always said to me, Chrystal, are you catastrophizing in your head again? And I'm like, leave me alone. Let me think my thoughts, okay? But now I don't, and I love it, because it's just, I see the energy wasted when I spend too much time in the future worrying about something that may never ever come. Go ahead, Jen.
well, before, I never realized the stories I was telling myself, that they were stories. Something broke. Well, automatically I couldn't afford to fix it. How was I gonna buy groceries and spend all this money to fix this? And I don't even know what it is. I had the entire story laid out before I even knew what was broken. And one of the big things that helped me was, is this true? Is this not true? Or did I just make this up? Every time I would start to, it's like, hang on, is this true? Because that just makes you stop. And the awareness, it brings you aware of what you're doing and aware that there's a story going on. And that's the only thing we really have to work on in the 3 principles is awareness. Because once our awareness grows and expands, and we see that, oh, those are just thought patterns we're stuck in, we automatically let go of them. So not being quite quiet isn't a thing because you're aware. I remember becoming aware of being in my head probably 100 times a day when I was first coming into this. Like, just when I would stop and realize I'm telling myself stories again. I'm making things up that aren't true. I'm reliving something and going over, well, if it only would have happened this way, that it does nothing But the more I became aware of it, it's like that's all you have to do. That awareness brings you back into the present moment, which then allows that noise to kind of pass on by.
Yeah. I love that card that you talked about at the beginning, Allysia, with the rope tied around the hand and the blood dripping. And that is what we do because we are used to the noise and the chaos and the stories, everything else that goes on, in our minds before we come to this understanding that it doesn't matter if it's a good story, a nice story, an evil story, a scary story. We don't care. It's a familiar story. And so we hold and we grip. And, Jen and I have talked about this before too, because we don't want to go into the unknown, the unfamiliar. We'd rather hold on to that painful thing that hurts than, oh my gosh, out of our comfort zone into something that we have no idea anything about it. And the beauty of that other card, because it is that simple, when you let go and the hand is perfect, the hand is healed, there's nothing wrong with the hand. It's just a matter of just releasing that grip, letting go. And Jen, oh my gosh, your word popped into my head. Surrendering to our essence and to our beauty and to our all that is innate inside of us. It is a magical and beautiful understanding. It really is.
One of my favorite things about it is that the more you learn about the principles, the true nature of mind, consciousness, and thought, the more you learn about every human being on the planet. It's like the deeper our understanding gets in that, the greater our reach becomes to anybody and everybody because it's universal. If somebody isn't alive and breathing, they're connected to mind. They're being ran by mind. If they know what's going on, they're conscious. And if they're doing anything at all, they're thinking, And so it's like that magical little pill that's right there in front of everybody. But it's quiet and it's subtle and isn't loud. And it's very simple. So we pass over it like, well, that can't be the answer. That'd be too easy.
Or it didn't make enough noise to get my attention. Because when there's so much noise and wisdom and mind is so quiet, that with the noise, it's very hard to be like, did somebody say something? Because you're like, nah, like you're saying, Jen, nah, I don't think I really heard. Maybe I just made that part up, right? You never know.
I made a lot of things up for a lot of years.
And I think the beauty is really and honestly that we're born with this. We're born with it. And even if it takes 45 years, I love aging myself. I'm past that now. But even if it took 45 years to find this understanding, it was always here. And so when I reflect on my life, there are so many times that I can pinpoint, wow. Yeah, mind had my back. Mind was trying to tell me something. Mind has kept me safe for 45, well, now 48 years, almost 49, getting there soon. But yeah, it's beautiful and it's amazing. I repeat that all the time. I know people are probably tired of hearing me say it, but when you try to put something so simple and so peaceful and so light and freeing into actual words that do it justice. It is very hard to articulate those words.
And it's very, yeah, it's hard to sit here. I'm thinking, and the thing that popped into my head is, what is the three principles done for me? And it's like, well, the three principles have changed my life. I'm no longer constantly at my boiling point. I, see things clearer. I'm not medicated. I'm not crazy. I'm not in a mental battle. I've went from a not always safe, comfortable home environment to a always safe where you laugh, so much laughter, so much fun, and just love instead of fear. And that's what it does, is it helps you take the power back, your life power back, and stop giving it away. Thinking, well, if only this would change, or if only this was different. Because it doesn't matter where it's at. It's going to change. Nothing is permanent. And just knowing that where it comes from, where my experience comes from, has turned what the fear that used to run me, that used to make all the decisions and bad choices, into love and compassion, and just seeing so much further and seeing so much differently.
Being like chaotic and like war zone, and just all the things that were going on growing up. And it's like my kids don't even want to leave the house. They get in the house, and it's like everybody has their own little space. It's calm and it's quiet, and the laughter and the love and the fun, uh, and it's a very different environment than the one that I grew up in, right? And it's beautiful, and I love that through this understanding and through recovery, I've learned to be that calm, stable person, right? 'Cause that was not always the norm for me. My life was very chaotic, and I didn't even have a home per se, and my kids didn't either. They were with my mom or whatever, and so to have a home that's like safe and happy is something that I cherish, right? And then like my youngest, and you saw her a few times, and the other day it's been like a couple of days, like a week or so now, but we were at the beach, and her and her sister were supposed to like be eating something, and she didn't finish it, right? And so her sister came and told on her, and so the youngest, she goes and pouts off, and I went in to talk to her, and I sit down, and it was so beautiful the way she explained it. She was like, she said, where there was just this like little voice that felt like there was like a little person like right here telling me to lie. And I knew that I wasn't supposed to lie, but I did it anyways. And then, so she's like recognizing thought, right? She's recognizing she's having these thoughts. She was aware of it. She even paused and then still proceeded, right? But was able to articulate that afterwards. And it's like she got it, she's already got it. It hasn't been stripped from her yet, and she already has the understanding that she had this thought and it created a feeling, and she didn't like that feeling, and so she told on herself basically, and it was just, that was so beautiful to me to know that I'm not that dictator parent who's up here talking to you. You're a kid, stay in a kid's place. Kids are to be seen and not heard, all the things. It's like, okay, so this happened. Let me drop down to you. Let me sit down on the bed. Let me get down on my knees, sit on the floor, whatever, and let's have a conversation about this. And like, that's okay. It's okay that happened. It's okay that those thoughts took over. That's perfectly fine. That's how we learn, and that's how we grow through life. But I just, I like to be able to be that sounding board where you're safe to talk about those things and not feel like my mom's this dictator or this entity that I'm going to be in trouble with if I make a mistake or if I, do something that even went against what I was thinking. It's okay to express that and to talk about it, and then we'll be from that.
Yeah. I wasn't always a safe space for my kids. I wasn't always stable. I wasn't always sober. I've been able to give my kids that, even if it was, my daughter turns 21 on Monday, and she just moved out of the house in June, but like, she was my oldest, and I did not have my shit together in any way. And she raised her brothers in a lot of ways, She was there. She took care of them. She couldn't go to her friends because I had to work, or, you know how it goes being the oldest, and then when your mom's not stable, it was a lot. And so I had given her until she turned 21 to live rent free in the house. And she up and moved out before she was 21 and moved to Las Vegas, and she's doing amazing. But the fact that I got to give her some good years of stability, and to see my 16-year-old stepping into himself, and he doesn't hold his head down and hunch his shoulders when he walks anymore. He stands up straight and holds his head up. And my youngest, he's 12, and what this understanding has done for him, and my two older kids were both diagnosed with bipolar. Okay. And this has helped them tremendously. My youngest was diagnosed with autism and ADHD. And to see with him, it was his anger. And I asked him to explain it to me once. What do your angry thoughts look like? And he's like, well, it's like this big balloon ball of red hate gas, and it fills up my mind until it comes out my ears and explodes. And it's like, wow, well, that's a hell of a, that's a hell of a image. And, that must be very, very hard. And we talked about it, and, he takes his magic sewing pin now because he sews his own stuffed animals and stuff, and he pops that bubble before it gets big enough to come out his ears and explode. And, having him come up with his own metaphor of his thoughts has helped so much. And yeah, it helps everybody. It doesn't matter how broken you think you might be. You're not. You're not at all. You just might be in a really bad misunderstanding. And this can clear it up in ways that you can't even imagine.
For me, my kids, my youngest just turned 18 this past week. So now I have all adult children. Crazy. But yeah, they didn't get to, at a younger age, experience Chrystal as a mom like this. They got to experience the hothead, the one that, flew off the handle at anything, the one that kind of was a dictator parent. Not kind of, I was. You better get good grades. You better do this. This, I told you to do this. That's the type of mom I was. And I am thankful now, obviously, that I see differently. And of course, there's this part of me like, oh, there you go again, right? Like, if I only knew this sooner, but I know it now. And even though they're young adults, they'll still get it. They'll still take it into their young adult life because, hey, this would have been really useful for me in my young adult life too. It really, it'll find you when it's supposed to. And we just have to have faith in that until, like I said, until the big changes come in.
And think about what great grandparents we'll get to be. We'll be the best grandparents ever.
I thought about that the other day. I thought to myself, I wonder if my kids are going to be like, well, let me tell you how my mom was.
Yeah. Your grandma and my mom aren't the same person.
Yeah.
I'm like, that lady, that's your grandma, that is not the woman who raised me. I don't know.
I already know that's coming at some point in the future. I mean, years in the future, but at some point in the future, they will say that. They'll be like, no. Your grandma and my mom, two totally different people.
Totally different. Even for my kids, it's like, my oldest is 21, my middle is 12, and then my youngest is 6. And so they, all three, have very different Allysias that were their mother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, very, very different. My son now, he's like, I don't know when you turned into this like tree hugging hippie, But we're not even there yet. In my 50s and 60s, I want long gray dreads. I want my herb garden. I want my tea and my Zen, and and I want to make tinctures and potions, and like I've got a whole plan. Retirement hippie-ish is gonna be like. So just you wait, son. You haven't seen nothing yet.
I love that. I love it. Yeah.
And it's exciting to think who we're helping our kids become. Because the more we live in it, we don't even have to teach this understanding to them. Because just by living it, they get it. They see it. It rubs off.
That's just another beautiful perk of the 3 principles. Yeah. Great point, Jen. Anything else anybody would like to share, say? Otherwise, we can always stop.
Yeah.
I think this was beautiful.
Yeah, this was fun. Yes. I appreciate you coming.
Yeah.
And that, I just have to tell you, that background, like what you said in group that one night, has stuck with me so much. And so watching you with that background, it just like puts it back to the forefront of my mind. I don't know if you told Chrystal about that, but
yep,
it was so gorgeous. And then like I even share that with my therapist. I'm like, I'm just trying to drop below the storm, right? I'm just trying to drop below it and be in the ocean where it's calm and quiet, and let all the shit go on up here, and I can just watch it from down here. So I appreciate you sharing that, and it was a pleasure having you in class. And
I loved your class. It helped me figure out how to do my class. It helped me, like, yeah, it was very awesome because I like the group setting. So that's what I wanted, it gets everybody involved and everybody. And now Chrystal and I are running our class, Awaken to Wellbeing. And yes, I love it, and I appreciate you. I loved having you. I don't know how busy Beto is, or if he'd want to come on one time, but we'll have to get in touch with him because he'd be a good one too.
So I have to put a plug in there, Jen, for our class, but first I have to give you your credit where it is due, and it is partially, I know, due to taking the I don't know the name of your course. I'm sorry, Allysia.
Insight to Wellbeing.
Thank you. Jen created a beautiful, beautiful course, And I know that a lot of the ideas were pulled from how your courses are structured. And it ended last night. I took her course. It ended last night. Was our 6th week. And I'm not lying. It's so beautiful and so perfect that I promise you everybody in that course is sad that was the last night.
Yeah.
Because she did it beautifully. And yeah, I'm excited to teach it with her because I got to experience how amazing that class is and how beautifully put together it is and how much love is in that class and how people get to show up just where they are. And in 6 weeks, there's a beautiful difference, an amazing difference, and the connection. You can't beat it. It's amazing. And
Well,
so,
I
yeah,
have to tell you that it was, Allysia and Beto ran the class I took with them, and it was the first class, and it's like, this is because I didn't know how I wanted to do, I had written out my thing and I'd spoke with Anna, and Anna's like, oh, well, here, come take, you know, and see how you like this. And it was absolutely amazing. And you and Beto work wonderfully together.
Ah,
And yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for coming in. And yeah, that metaphor is exactly why I got this, because I don't have to live on the surface anymore. I don't have to withstand the storm.
yeah,
and shout out to Anna too. She created that curriculum. So
Yes.
the master behind it, and I'm sure you guys have seen and you will see the magic and the beauty that happens when all these minds get together and the lights turn on and people start to realize it's gold. It's just this is why I'm here. This is why we're having this conversation. This is what this space is for. And so good luck. And I love that. It's beautiful.
thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And
Thank you so much. Yes,
yeah.
I want to take a second just to thank you, Allysia, for coming on the podcast, for sharing with us, for sitting with us, and for holding space with us. Totally beautiful and very much appreciate it. I've heard a lot of great things about you and Beto, right?
Yep.
From Jen.
Yeah.
So it was an absolute pleasure for you to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Anytime.
Jen, you want to close out or you want me to?
Okay. You go for it. I just lost what I was going to say.
All right. I mean, your cat's killing me. I'm sorry.
My phone rang and it's like, sorry, guys.
No,
This
it's Jen's
cat has been nonstop.
Is she in heat? Heat?
I believe so, yes.
In heat. She sounds like it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's horrible. And she's a bad cat. She's a bad cat. And now it's like, well, I know I'm still fostering. So now it's like I have to keep her because nobody else is going to want her because she's a bad cat. And I can't imagine her getting stuck outside or anything.
Poor kitty.
Oh,
Thank you,
Denise.
everybody. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, do all the things, help us out. And I hope you heard something.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.